So I'm going to walk you through my native Slayer Propel 10. Maybe you can get some ideas of how you want to modify your kayak for the upcoming season. Let's go. Alright guys, gonna walk you through my kayak, everything on it, and I got a bunch of videos that I'm gonna reference from this video because I've done a lot of DIY work, I've done videos on a lot of the things you see here, and so if you want to take a deeper dive on some of those topics, those links will be in the description below. So you might be like, what in the world is this? Well, this is a safety tether. This is a video I just did not too long ago. This is a DIY, kind of transform your 5x8 utility trailer into a double-decker kayak trailer, and that is simply the safety that goes right there and kind of mounted all the retractable straps on here. So if you want to learn how to make this or how I made this, because you have a utility trailer and you're like, yeah, I want to go ahead and utilize what I have, then I'll throw this link in the description below. All right, so let's hop into the hatch. The front hatch here, I keep a couple things. One, just a tie-off rope. So if I put this in the water or I forgot something, just tie it off the dock so they don't go floating away. So that is always there. This is a tow rope, guys. If you don't have one of these, I know a lot of fishing kayak anglers don't. $2.50 at Walmart. So grab one of these. You're gonna wish you had it. Say if you're out there and you lose your kayak paddle, or if you have a motor and your battery goes down, or if you have a pedal powered like I do and you shear the pin or break a propeller, someone's gonna have to bring you in, and it's gonna be a lot more difficult if you don't have one of these. So just have one of these. It's polypropylene, it's really cheap. Just throw it in your hatch, kind of forget about it. Hopefully you never have to use it, but if you have to use it, you're gonna be glad you did. This guy, always have down here, it's a dry bag. It is full of my first aid kit. Now, I had a bunch of people comment on my first aid video. They're like, dude, what are you going to battle or combat? And the reality is, yes, it's for me, like to get, hooks and stuff out of my finger, or just like normal, easy things to fix. But also some things in here in case I come up on an accident that's a little bit more severe. Maybe someone got their hand stuck between the hitch and their boat at the load-in. So have a bunch of stuff in here. It really not that heavy, and so I had a lot of the materials. So I'll throw the video for that if you want to know what I have in here that it's specific, because I think a lot of the off-the-shelf first aid kits are absolute garbage. So I'll throw that link if you want to check that out. All right, moving along. This little ram mount here, sometimes I put a camera on the front to kind of get this angle. If you shoot videos, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you're like, no real need for that. Next, I got a couple mods to my Propel drive here. What I love about the Propel drive, and if you have one of these, I did a 6-part series of how to take this apart, clean it, grease it, oil it, all that stuff. So I'll throw that playlist in the description below. But this is an older version. The newer versions actually come with weed guards, but since this is an older one, it didn't. So I had to do a 3D printed weed guard, which is nice. All right, now these are one of my favorite mods. Down under the seat, once you put these seat risers and get your seat up a little bit, you can actually fit a Craftsman Versa stack. And these things are awesome. Basically, there's 2 drawers. And so you can put a lot of your terminal tackle, your lures that you're gonna use for the day. And when you're done, boom, out of the way. So check this guy out. Not that expensive. So if you have room to put one of these Versa stacks, man, highly recommend it. One of my favorite mods on this entire kayak is having underseat storage with drawers. So I'll throw that link in the description below. So the old version came with garbage like plastic pedals. So I did an aluminum Zacro upgrade, and these are mountain bike pedals. I can see it has the pegs in there. So these are nice. So if you have an older version, if you bought one used or if you had it for a while, you might want to, these are CNC machined and real sweet. Also up here, you'll notice on the top of your Propel drives, there's a 1/4-20 thread. And you can do a lot of things there. You can put a fish finder if you wanted to. You kind of run the wires up the base here. Or what I like to do is, this is a ram mount phone. So this is a pretty big one because my dad uses this kayak a lot. But it basically pulls apart, put your phone in there, and it keeps it nice and tight. And that way it's always in front of your face. If you have a phone call, if you want to take a picture, you just kind of hold the fish with one hand and hit the button with the other and you're good to go. So these are really nice, kind of expensive though, but I've had the other one on my Bonafide P127. Not sure if you can see that. Here we go. And so this one's for a smaller iPhone, and the one I just showed you is for a larger phone. So make sure you don't have to buy this thing twice because you got the wrong size. So this is super nice, love it. It's been really good to me. I've never had a phone fall out on me. All right, moving along. Guys, this thing right here is one of my favorite additions to a fishing kayak. So this is the Omega Pro Yak Attack rod holders, and they're really easy. So this is, you kind of move it back and forth. This is how you tighten it, like that. And then you can put these at different angles. 1, 2, 3, however you want it. So I use this a lot for trolling. And so I'll run one off this side, run one off the other side, and run some crankbaits if I'm going from spot to spot. And I pick up, you'd be surprised the fish that you pick up trolling. And also they have the I think it's just called the Omega. Go with the Omega Pro, spend the extra 10 bucks, get this additional arm here, because you'll have 2 points of adjustment, and I think you'll really like over the Omegas. Now, they are a little bit expensive, but they last forever, made in the USA, so highly recommend these. I'll put a link in the description. Guys, let me walk you over to this side of the kayak, and as you see here, I got my Ketch board because my dad and I are starting to get into some tournament fishing, and the Ketch board is what you need to fish with KBF, kayak bass fishing. And so we're going to be doing the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series, where you can win a spot on your favorite content creators team, and we're all going to travel down to Lake Guntersville on Veterans Day weekend to fish off against each other for the Hero Cup. And so if that's something you're interested in, you could fish to be on that team. I'd love for you to be on Team Wendell, but we're going to be facing off against Team Chad Hoover, Fluke Master, Creek Fishing Adventures, Fishing with Gramps, and the team is growing, so check that out. So this is, I'll have the Ketch board mounted on the left side of the kayak. So the beauty of the Ketch board, this one's a Ketch X, super nice. It's a 26-inch, got it tethered down because this definitely doesn't float and don't want to lose it. But if you have one of these Yak Attack rod holders, these things fit really nice in here. You basically just sit it in, flick it back, and boom. It holds it until you need it. When you need it, pop it out, lay it over your kayak, snap foot of your fish. When you're done, flip it over here, and you're off to fishing again until you catch your next monster. All right, so that's really nice. Also over here, I have a Yak Attack cup holder. These are always nice, not just for holding cups, but I keep a tethered fingernail clipper, so always great when you got that tough braid, and you know, of course, it'll slice through butter like the fluoros, your monos, and your copolymers. Always have this tethered. It's always right here. Also, when I get done fishing or I'm changing off lures, a lot of times I'll go ahead and put the lure in here, and these kind of pile up, and then I just take care of these once I get home. So this is adjustable. You can kind of move it up and down your gear track here. All right, so what I have here is some fish grips, and they fit really nicely on my handle here, and I got these tethered as well. A lot of times I'll look behind my boat, and this thing is like dragging in the water. So kind of nice. If you do drop it or you don't know that it fell off your boat, you're still going to own it, and it's not going to be floating away somewhere. So that's nice. Or you have to spend the next half hour looking for it. So that stays there, tethered on. And what I use these for is like those unexpected catches. Sometimes I'll get a big catfish attack my chatterbait or my jig, and so I don't necessarily want to grab that. I can gill plate it. It's really nice just to grab it and pull it out. So these are nice for that. Also, what I use these for is if I catch a big one, right, and I'm taking some photos and I don't want it sitting flopping around and potentially hurting itself on the bottom of my kayak, what I'll do is I just put this on the lip of the bass and let that big boy just kind of swim around until I'm ready to take that photo so he doesn't injure himself. So that's why I have those on there. I used to have this to kind of measure. I wasn't doing tournaments, just for fun, but don't really need that anymore. But since it's stuck on there, it's not coming off. All right. Moving back here, another thing I usually keep on my kayak is some type of towel. Have that tethered down as well. It's almost like a golf towel, right? Your hands get wet, your hands get slimy, you're handling bass, you're handling catfish, or whatever you're out there catching. And so having just a dry towel, just tethered up, I just kind of stick that. A lot of times I don't have it here because it's in the wash, a behind the seat backpack. So you can buy behind the seat backpacks, but man, they're expensive, especially if you buy like the native specific brands. So just go to Walmart, buy one for 20 bucks, put it back here. You're not gonna have any issues because the straps kind of go over the sides over here. It's not a big deal at all. You're not gonna feel it on your back, and you will be good to go with a simple $20 behind the seat backpack. Now let's talk about paddles really fast. Now, since I have a Propel drive, I buy really cheap paddles because I use them maybe 2% of the time, and usually when I need them is like I'm in trouble and I need it really fast. So I have it readily available on the side here. It just fits nicely here as I put my Sidekicks up, which I'll talk about in a second. It just fits right under here, and I never have to really worry about it until I need it, and I can grab it really quickly, and it's readily accessible. One of my pride and joys right here, the Kayak Crate with 6 rod holders and a bungee top. Guys, this thing's awesome. So if you don't have a Kayak Crate behind the seat and you don't want to spend $150 or $180 on one, then you can just make them out of milk crates. I got my milk crates recently. I saw one at the thrift store for 50 cents each. So I made these up. I got a video. I have version 1. I just made version 2 with a bunch of upgrades from the original V1. And so if you're interested in how to make this or how I made it and you want to make one for yourself, I'll throw the links in the description below. But this is nice, marine grade bungee cord here. We have I changed up the material I use for the rod holders. It's got a lid, a lot of room down here. And so what I keep in here, of course, are my tackle boxes. And then I always have the tools I'm gonna need in order to fix anything that may go wrong while I'm out kayaking. So got the pliers here because I've had the seat screw kind of pop out. So I need to grab that and tighten it up. Needle nose pliers. I got a pair of screwdrivers in case these gear track screws get a little bit loose. I can tighten them up when I'm out there, and it's specifically good. And this is the one I use all the time. My 8mm hex wrench. So sometimes these things are supposed to be tightened down to 25 foot-pounds on the propel drive. And sometimes they get loose because they're tapered, or people don't tighten them up tight enough because they don't realize they are tapered and you need to tighten them more than you typically would. So they think they're going to strip it, but they're actually not. So these start to click and start to squeak. And a lot of times I've been out, and you don't want to be out in a 3-4 day trip out in the middle of nowhere and not have this tool to tighten this back up and continue fishing, because that's going to ruin a half day as you got to go into town and get a hex wrench to fix that. So always have all the tools. Just go do a walk around of your fishing kayak and see what tools you're going to need, and just always have those in your kayak crate here. Next, if you like to film, or you're thinking about filming and you wonder how everyone gets those over the head shots, this is the Boomstick from Yak Attack. There it is, Yak Attack. And basically I run my GoPro Black 8, I'm going to be upgrading here soon, run a Type-C cable around here, and I run it down to an external power source. This one's a JB Power. This thing's a beast. Things last forever. So if you're interested in that, the cords, the camera, I'll put all those links in the description below. But I've seen guys like take their GoPros out and like change their batteries out every hour because those batteries are garbage. And so you don't even have to have batteries in them when you're running external power. So the idea is when you start your fishing, you hit record, and you don't have to mess with it or take it down and bring it back or fix it all throughout the day. And when you get back, you just hit stop recording and you are good to go. All right, next what we have here are these from old school native Sidekicks. I mean, old school. So I have some newer ones. Let me take you in here for a second. These are the ones on a Bonafide P127. You can see how long they are. A lot nicer, a different design here. But the OG, which still work, don't get me wrong, are these guys. A lot shorter arm here, and then this is how they fit in there, so basically, if you have a heavy fishing kayak and you're heading down to the water, I love native Sidekicks. So it has the pneumatic wheels, so if you do hit something, it's going to take a lot of that force versus your kayak taking a lot of that force, because I know a lot of guys, they'll overload their fishing kayaks, and they'll take this thing and run it over rocks, and essentially it'll rip out the gear track. So a big bummer there. But never had any issue with that. So I love these things. I think they're so much better than any type of kayak cart that you can build or that you can buy, because they're really easy. Once you get done, you can put it in the water, you flip them back, and you go fishing. Or you don't have to take it apart and throw it in your hatch. You don't have to run it back up to your truck. You are ready to go and you're out fishing. So I love the native Sidekicks. Over here, as you can see, these are 3D printed seat risers. So working with my man 3D Yak, and he makes these for a variety of different kayaks. In fact, the Bonafide P127 I just showed you guys, it's a fairly new kayak, and they didn't actually have any type of seat risers for it. So I worked with 3D Yak, we went back and forth with a bunch of the dimensions, and we got some awesome seat risers. So if you're looking for some 3D printed seat risers for your fishing kayak, let me know, or go head over to the Facebook page 3D Yak and ask him if he has those for your specific kayak, and you might be in luck. All right, next let's talk PFDs. I got two different versions for you. I got my low profile, which I'll talk about in a second, and this is the one I use most of the time. This is the NRS Raku, and I love the NRS Raku because the front of it's just like the Chinook. So if you have a Chinook, you're like, dude, that looks just like a Chinook. That's true. However, what separates the Raku from the Chinook is when you turn off the side, the Chinook will have a high back float. It's a real thick, they got to put that flotation somewhere. But the NRS Raku actually puts that flotation all along the back. And the reason I like that is because sometimes, especially on pedal power kayaks, this is why I recommend the Raku for pedal power kayaks, that high back float, being that you're kind of in that recumbent position, it depends how far you like to lean back, that high back float will catch the back of your chair here, and it'll kind of push your neck forward, which is super annoying. So that's why I like the Raku. Ripstop nylon, this thing's really nice. I got my NRS Copilot safety knife here. This clicks in and out really nice. I got my Booms aluminum pliers. Get the hook out of the fish's mouth if I need to. It's got a bunch of other pockets. I put my phone, my keys. I actually do an in-depth video review on this, so I'll throw that in the description below. But if you're anything like me, it is 90 degrees outside. The last thing you want is something super bulky and heavy on you. So you might want to go low profile. If you guys are interested in the differences between the two and kind of PFDs in general, I did the ultimate guide to kayak fishing PFD videos, and you can check that out in the description below if you want to take a deeper dive on that. All right, guys, couple more ideas for you. I love this so much, I'm going to talk about it. This is my kayak lift that I put in my garage. If you have high ceilings in your garage and you're always like, I don't have enough room for my fishing kayaks, this is a lift I created that is battery power, 12-volt battery power on a tender, and it basically goes up and down with these buttons. And so I bring both my cars in here, the kayaks are up out of my way. If you're interested in that video, I'll throw that in the link in the description below. Also, if you guys are shooting video here, this is a setup I have, the chesty setup with all-day power. So if you're interested in how I kind of set this guy up, I'll throw that link in the description below as well. So if you're anything like me, you have a lot of money wrapped up into your fishing gear, your fishing kayak, and the trailers that pull them. And so I have a video out there of how you can put Apple Airtags on your fishing kayak. So if someone does steal your stuff, you'll be able to recover it. But there's some modifications you need to make to that Airtag. And so I'll throw that video in the description below. And I also got a video out there, 12 tips to keep your fishing kayak from getting stolen. And you can check that video out right there.